welcome to the Unmasking Men podcast. I'm Oluwatoni, your host. You can also call me Tone, and we're back with these conversations, these intimate conversations with men where we talk about their fears, anxieties, just the real stuff. So it will be from grief to relationships to vulnerability to identity to purpose, everything in between. And I'm very excited about today's guest. Welcome to Tijesu Ojumu.
Thank you for having me, Tony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad. Are you ready to unmask with me?
Give me a few seconds. Okay, I am.
You're
I'm
good.
ready. I'm ready.
I love it.
I'm ready.
I love it. So we're going to do a quick thing. I want to do a this or that. So you tell me whether you're this or that of the things that I mentioned. So
Okay, let's go.
Are you a voice note person or a texter?
I think I used to be a texter, but now I'm a voice note person.
Really? What
But
changed?
I think I used to type really fast, so it was very easy for me to just pam.
Yeah.
But of recent, when maybe you have an issue that is, elongated and you know what, let me just
No
pour
time.
out my heart and give you like 20 minutes of voice
love it.
notes.
A whole podcast.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Are you traditional native attire or t-shirts and jeans?
I think native attire.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you rather do road trip or planes?
I think I'll do planes because my experience with road trips has not been really great, so I just prefer to fly.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to add Nigeria to the mix and say. Okay. Interesting. So welcome. Thank you for being here. So I just want to give a bit of context, even though you know, but let the people listening know.
Yeah.
So this podcast basically is birthed from, I guess, seeing men not do the best things. So whether it's my dad not being there, whether it's that guy I liked disappointing me, whether it's my cousin just turning, being one way, and I'm used to him being one way and just changing, I just want us to unpack things about men to help men know better and do better, as it says on the wall.
Yeah.
And just have conversations where we talk about the things you go through, what life is like from your mouth, because we hear, okay, men are trash. We hear, oh, this man did this, or men are demeaning women. But okay, let's talk about it and let's know.
Yeah, I think it's important to have this discussion. So I'm excited to, be here with you and I look forward to the conversation. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so first things first, who is Tijesu? Who are you?
All right, I'll say Tijesu is many things. Tijesu is a young Nigerian man. Tijesu is a young husband, is a young father. Tijesu has served Nigeria. I used to work as a civil servant. Tijesu loves to sing. Tijesu has a large heart for God. Tijesu has a heart for young people. Tijesu is very big on honor. Tijesu is a faithful son, a friend to many. And Tijesu has a belief in Nigeria. Doesn't really believe in the Japa ideology. He believes in Nigeria and believes in, being established and prospering in Nigeria. And so there are many sides to Tijesu. Tijesu is a voiceover artist. Tijesu has worked in public health for almost a decade. He's an expert graphic designer. Tijesu is a creative. So Tijesu is a lot of things, depending on the angle from which you're seeing him. So I'll say that.
I love that. It's always nice to ask from the person's point of view, because it's easy to say, I know you, we work together at NCDC, so it's easy to say, you are an amazing graphics designer at NCDC. Just to plug this in, if you guys remember the national and Nigerian way of posting about the cases, deaths, and recoveries from COVID-19, this is the person that came up with that flyer, the red, yellow, and green, right?
Green, yes.
So that's Tijesu. I think you're a very good example of who a man should be. And no, don't let your head swell too much.
It's not swelling.
But I think you're definitely a solid guy, and that's why I wanted to just talk about what I guess masculinity is, what being a man is like for you,
Yeah.
what your journey has been like. So can you share a bit about that? What being a man has been like for you? Have you always, I guess, known to do better, or you've had your highs and lows and had to journey?
Well, it's an interesting question, and for me, it's been phases. Just like every human being. So, being a man for me, it's really coming into the knowledge of what a man really is, and just preparing for this podcast, I was just thinking about it, and one of the things that came to me really strong is to be a man is really to mirror God. To be a man is really to mirror God. But picking it from being a toddler, preschool, teenager, for me, it will mean being exposed to bullies, in school, and having to find a way to deal with
Who
it.
you?
I mean, so I think a lot of Nigerian students experienced.
Definitely.
So there's this type of bullying. It's not where they pick on you. It was almost like everyone had their day in class, where everyone will turn on you, and then they will insult you so much. I remember one day, and I think we were in primary school, and the insults were just so much. I mean, I think that there were other days when I had joined them to also insult, some other people. It was almost like a culture, and I think it's one of the toxic things that that you find among men. We don't have a lot of like emotional intelligence coming up. It's something we learn along the way. So for me, being a man is growing through all of those phases, learning to take responsibility, and in doing all of that, finding God. Like I said earlier, to really be a man, like the sum total of it is to mirror God. So when you are in situations, you're able to say, what will God do in this situation? And so when you do it, you are doing the right thing, and you're representing God, adequately. And so for me, it's been taking each step, being guided by mentors, guided by family, guided by the word of God, retracing my steps, changing my mindset, and just ensuring that everything aligns to this picture of one who mirrors God. And so I mean, you fall along the way, you get up, but the end goal is just becoming somebody who mirrors God. When people see you, you really mirror God. And even when God sees you, he says, okay, this guy is aligning with the original intent I had in mind when I created man. So for me, I think that's what the journey has been. And each day I live my life trying to align more and more to mirror him to an increasing degree of accuracy. So for me, that's what it's been.
I love that. So if there's someone, I guess, that doesn't know God that's listening and is like, okay, but what does that even look like? Like who's God?
Yes.
Have you always known God, or have you?
Well, that is a very important question. Also, because while I was thinking about this concept of what it means to mirror God, and that question also came into my mind because after God created man, right, we could see that there was a fall and a separation or a break in transmission, and so it was one kettle of fish that people are aware that there is God, and then they are trying to like restore the connection. But it now goes even worse. There are now some people who are not even aware of who God is. So when you look at it, how do those people even begin from? How can you mirror what you've not you've not seen, what you've not heard, or what you don't know? So I was born into a Christian home, right? Like many people who might be listening, we would go to church. In fact, I think I did a lot of church. A whole lot.
You're
I mean, you can't.
child.
Yeah, I mean, very churched. Probably over churched itself. Mondays where I would go to fellowship, Tuesday Bible study, Wednesday we're there for another church meeting, Thursday we have prayer meeting, Friday it's possible there's a vigil, Saturday you're in choir rehearsals, Sunday you're in church again. So I was really soaked in it. And the positive side of that is that with all of those engagements, you're going for, camp meetings, teenage camps, and all of that, a seed is being sown. And honestly, today I look back and I really acknowledge the power of seeds in terms of words, actions, models around, because that's what you encounter in that, environment. But a seed has to be watered, right? It has to fall on good ground, So, however, that was the starting point for me. I was in the church world, and we'll see a lot of things growing up. However, I think when I got into university, that was the first time I was away from like that church environment, away from my parents, and it was like the opportunity to really try myself. And I remember, like, for the longest time I didn't go to church. I mean, not because
Just you?
yeah, I didn't go to church, when because now I had I don't know if it was laziness, but I mean, I now had the liberty I had not had in a very long time. And I remember on Sunday mornings I'll pick beans, and that's when I want to cook beans, or I decided that's when I want to, start, doing laundry, and it even got so bad. I think someone had reported me to my parents, and then they had sent my cousin to me in school, say what's going on with me, and I'm not going to church. Or that time, I will just, decide around 11:30, almost 12 p.m. that's when I want to go to church, and then I'll just walk in, and then they're sharing the grace. In fact, there was a day I just walked in while they're sharing the grace. I said, well, I just turned back and went, back home. And what it meant is that while I'd practiced religion for the longest time, it had not yet become something very personal and real. And that's the mistake I feel like also a lot of parents, make. Religion is part of Christianity. Like, I mean, religion is, doing things, doggedly, repeatedly, consistently as part of a culture. However, there's like this relationship aspect, of it. And so I would say I only knew God from that religious perspective, such that when I got to school, I just dropped everything. It was an avenue to try something new, so I just dropped everything. But it took me a while to really come to a place where, I had to say, you know what? I think I've tried. I've tried everything, and I'm tired, and I just need you to just take the wheel. I think I had encountered some challenges, some troubles, and I remember just saying, God, I'm tired. I don't want. Take the wheel, like really take the wheel. And it was like the beginning of a relationship with God. Now, not through my parents. Now, this is like on my own personal terms. Like, God, I really need you, And that was the beginning of like getting to really know God and walking with Him for me. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, like I was saying, Tijesu you, because I'm so used to seeing how you live for God and you live with God and you're fulfilling purpose, work, marriage, being a father. So it's hard to reconcile, but I totally get that. And I love that you talked about religion, because it's so easy to fall back to like those routines and I'm meant to be in church. I'm taking off being in church on Sunday.
Yes.
While you're at home under that covering, and then when you get to uni, it's like nobody's checking on me.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do what I want to do. So I totally get that. I know that honestly, having a relationship with God is it's like I've seen how it's transformed. Like you were saying, my mindset, my understanding about life and what I'm here for. I think one thing while we're at NCDC, one thing about you is that you were who you were. Like you stuck out like a sore thumb. You weren't shying for anybody. You weren't hiding. You knew who you were. You know who you are. You knew who you were, and you were being intentional about living and talking loudly and being blunt about things and calling people out. But I'd ask, were you always like that? And then how did you, let's hone in on how you changed to become this person.
Yeah, so I was not always like that. Again, I mean, so it might vary for different people, but typical Nigerian child grows up and, wants to please his parents. I mean, because that's how you're brought up. So if you do this, I'll reward you. If you come first, I'll reward you. Your uncle, maybe your mom has told your uncle that this boy is playing football so much and, he's getting B. Not even C, he's getting B's. And then your uncle comes and says, when I come the next holiday, if you score all A's, I'm going to reward you. And so you grow up with the mindset of you're trying to, you want to please. I mean, which is not a bad thing at that point in time. And so you pander to people growing up When you're in school, you want to be part of a clique. I don't know. Maybe some people will have this experience. Maybe you brought stuff from school, biscuits, and then you want to share just so that you can win influence. Among your friends. You want to belong to one clique or the other. And so a lot of people grew up like that. And I was not an exception. Belonged to different, groups. I had friends in school, growing up, secondary school, up to university. But I think I got to a place where, and as you grow, your awareness and consciousness also grows with you. So I think that, and maybe it's also part of the seed of the word of God that was in me. However, I got to a point where I just saw that this people I called friends were not, they were not helping me. And when I say helping me now, is like I mentioned earlier that one of the underdeveloped parts of a lot of men is the emotional side of them, because you are taught to suck it up.
Yeah.
You don't cry. Don't be a man.
Be a man.
And you should be a man. However,
Talk about that.
Yeah. However, that part, and so you can see, I've seen situations where I think one time I had like a family member in school who was, he had malaria, and the temperature was very high. It was like going to his brain, and there were boys all around. Everybody was busy cooking, and nobody had that emotional intelligence to say, what, this can become very critical, and that's
a problem.
and that's how like young boys can be. They can be very insensitive to pain. You see situations where someone falls down, and the first reaction is to laugh and not to help the person up. So a lot of us grew up like that. So we band together, and then we just make fun of people to the point where they can start crying. I did that growing up. It was like a culture, when I was growing up, And so as I got to university, I got to that point where I started to see that, these people, they either always look for opportunities to maybe talk down on you, make fun of you. There's never any time where there's like building up in terms of like conversation. It's just always pulling down. Everybody's out for the fun or the adrenaline they get from those moments of just poking fun at you, and just coupled with a lot of other things. I think it got to a peak for me, and I said, you know what, I can't take this anymore, and I don't really have to associate. Also, I think I found myself trying to forcefully associate with those people, and I could see how I was different. I could see how I was different than them, because there were a lot of things that they would do that I would not do because of the kind of background that I had. There were a lot of things that they would indulge in. And there I say, by the grace of God, there are a lot of things that a lot of my friends did that I thank God that I did not do. Not because I did not, I think God just kind of kept me out of all of those things. Like they were all around me. And we will all be in the room, and they'll be gisting about all of the things they did, and you there, but I never did any of those things, and God just kind of helped me, And so I got to that point, and I said, you know what? I don't need these guys to be cool. And I think for a time in school, I was like a lone ranger. I would just walk on my own, go to lectures on my own, do stuff on my own, and just become comfortable. I remember, trying to test this out on one of my friends. I said, I wanted to test my influence. I said, let's go to this place. I just wanted to just see if I could wield influence over the person's will. I can't remember if the person followed me, but just to show you that I was now actively thinking about influence, like who determines where we go, who determines what we do, who determines, and can I determine that, And so it was very significant. In fact, I stopped going to some rooms in the hostel. I just broke off, and I didn't go there again. I would just go and do my own stuff, go my own way. And I think that was the beginning of being my own person and just learning to be comfortable with myself, and from there I could see myself build influence and influence people to do, to do stuff.
Okay, so how do you remain secure in your values? The world we live in, it's not easy to stick with, let's say, pre-marriage for you. Let's say, for example, being celibate or just not using things like drugs as a coping mechanism, or succumbing to addictions. How have you been able to stay focused? Or if you indulged, feel free to share as well.
Okay, so I think just like an anchor is to a ship, right? It keeps it grounded. I think in order to, again, another word for grounded would be secure, So just trying to, relate it to the question. Being secure in my values, and for anyone, I think the values will need to become convictions. The values will need to become convictions. So it goes beyond.
Can you break that down a bit?
Okay. So for you to be convinced about something, you need to be persuaded beyond reasonable doubt. You need to understand the what, the whys, the how. So, for example, I'm trying to pitch a new, maybe a smartwatch to you. You already have 5.
Yeah.
So why should I buy this new one? And so whoever is selling to you has to tell you, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. So it's really justified. You can see the value, in getting this 6th smartwatch, even though you already have 5, before now. And so it's the same principle too. So I have a value of integrity. What does it really mean to have integrity? Why? Why am I doing this? So just speaking now, I remember the story of Joseph when Potiphar's wife wanted him to sleep with her. And the question he asked himself was, how will I do this kind of thing and offend God? It was not that if I get caught, Kasala can bust. It wasn't I don't want to offend. It wasn't even about Potiphar. I mean, which would have been a good thing that, my boss invested trust in me. It really wasn't even about him. It was about God, and he made that statement in that moment. Yeah. So you can see the value was entrenched in something deeper than like his physical surrounding environment, right? And so, again, it brings me to the idea of modeling, mirroring God, And so having your values become convictions, whatever values you have. So, for example, one of the key values I have is honor. And some people will say they honor generally, and you see them treat somebody nice, but they are very unkind to strangers, unkind to people who they feel are in a lower class. Yeah. They're unkind to the waitress. They're unkind to the porter helping them, push their load at the reception. So that person does not really understand the importance, the reason why we honor. And so going deeper than just throwing out buzzwords, my values are this. It's going to understand why. What's the reason for this? And so, like the book starts with why. Yeah. When you understand the why, you are able to stand against anything that challenges, your value system. And so I think that conviction is the anchor. Yeah. So when you now come to a place where something tugs at you, what holds is just like when the wind blows the ship. What holds it from just breaking apart or just going anywhere is the anchor, And so the values become anchored down when they become convictions. And I think what anchors it is understanding the why. And so if the why is worth it, you embrace it and say, you know what, this is mine. When you think about the why and the why is not for you, then you probably will discard it. But when the why makes sense and you say, I live for this is my thing, then it just anchors you and then you are there no matter what happens. Yeah.
I know, knowing the reason why, I think that's one thing that has stayed with me over a number of years. And I think in the context, for me, was in the context of career, like, what am I doing, what I'm doing? Yeah. Like, that's important. If not, you live day to day thinking, what is this? Because things can get routine, for example, on the job. True. So knowing your why, my goodness, is essential to living. And it helps with living life in this world because things get tough.
Yeah, of course.
And if you know who you are, if you know, the reason why you're here, the gifts you carry, the strengths you have, and the ways you can use that, it helps you live life and live as a light. And like you said, mirror God properly. So I do have a question about fatherhood. So let's just pivot to this.
Okay.
So you're a dad.
Yeah.
And you have a how many year old?
It's 1 year and almost a month.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And I know him and he's lovely. And I think about fatherhood, one thing that is important is helping boys see. I mean, your boy is 1 year old, but I know you must have thought about raising him as a strong man.
Yes.
But then you talked before about how it's not just, don't cry, just kind of suck it up. how do you intend to raise him in the way that he's emotionally intelligent, he's in touch with his emotions, and why is that important?
Okay, so how and why it's important. I think, and don't worry, you say I always make connections to like general things. So
It's good.
yeah, yeah. So just the way different phone brands, maybe Android or iPhone, will bring up like a new version. They add some updates. They look at the limitations with this, and then they make it better, and then release a new software with the update. I think with generations past, there's always an opportunity to do better than the previous generations, right? So when I look back at like maybe my granddad, my dad, when I hear their stories, I understand how they are based on where they came from, how they struggled to be where they are. We didn't start on the same baseline, right? And my son definitely is not starting on the same baseline that I had. And so it's important for myself and every young father to pay attention to those things that we saw as gaps. Because again, I see that, and I've read about this also too, online, it's really impossible to become what you once accused. It's very easy to become what you once, spoke against. Very, very easy, especially when it comes to generations. Because again, I see that cycles can be easily repeated if attention or careful attention is not paid. So I think it takes intentionality to pass on knowledge that maybe you never had as a young person, paying attention to those pockets of knowledge that were gaps in your own upbringing, in my own upbringing. I think I had a conversation with my parents yesterday, and we were just discussing on some things, and they were saying, no child comes with a manual. And they had to learn on the job and things like that, and that's the story with every father and every mother. So it's important to pay attention. I think in the previous generation, there was no emphasis on things around emotional intelligence, mental health. I even still think that a lot of people in the previous generation still struggle to really understand what is this thing with me, my friend. Come on now, just. They will not tell you their own story. When I was, I used to wake up 5 a.m. and trek 7 kilometers barefooted to school and all of that. And I can understand how they might not understand, because they feel like I've been through this. I even went through worse things. And that's why you see we have this mentality where we almost want to compete with suffering in Nigeria. Somebody wants to tell you, I had it worse and I'm still here, that kind of a thing. But they don't really think about the impact on the mind, And so now that we have this knowledge, right, I think it's our responsibility. Like you said earlier, if you know better, you should do better. So every young father should actively, bridge that knowledge gap, talking about having these conversations early on, and don't fall into the trap of as it was, so shall it be. I don't know how they say it, is it forevermore, that kind of a thing. So I think that's the how, to be very intentional, about it. What's the other question again?
Okay, so the other thing is the how, like how you'd go about teaching him. He's not speaking necessarily yet, but when it gets to that point, how?
So I think one of the ways to do that again is also modeling. I think the fundamental way, because I see, even though my kid is like just a little above 1 year, I see him trying to do things that I do. Some days ago I was sitting in the car and took my keys, and then he took it to the ignition. And I'm like, who taught you this?
Already?
Yeah, So I said, this boy is looking at what I'm doing, and he just wants to copy. He want to put his legs in big shoes, And so children really see the way you do stuff. Growing up, there are things I never saw my parent do, and till today it stays with me. And it's one of the values that I have even in my marriage. There are things that I never saw my dad do or my mom do, and because of that, I don't do things like that. I never heard them use vulgar words. In fact, they don't use vulgar words. And I think it's because of them that I'm like this. I don't joke with words. I don't. My wife will always say, if
Words
I
are
hear any
important.
word that is, I feel like this is not. I shut it down immediately. People will say your own is too much. I just the catch cruise. I don't catch cruise with negative. I don't do that. People.
100.
Yeah, people, and it's part of like that. I think it's still toxic too.
Yeah.
People might say, "Yeah, I'm doing too much." I say, "Fine, thank you. Let me do too much." Yeah, I don't hear you.
Live your life, I'll live mine.
People exactly. So people will come and they use words. They are trying to greet themselves,
Yeah.
and then they're using very derogatory terms, and then when you call it out, they say, "You're honest. We're just guys
Yeah.
now. I don't guys like that."
We don't guys like that
No,
here.
no, 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 we don't. We don't.
Yeah.
So we use good words because I believe strongly in the power of my tongue, and the power of my
Power of
words,
life
and
and
that
death is in the
it has brought me to where I am today, the words that I speak. So I don't allow anybody to throw sand in my smooth jebugari.
Word. That's
Yeah,
a word. That's
yeah,
a word.
yeah. So modeling.
Modeling. Yeah.
And then when he grows up to the stage where he's able to receive information, process it, and then we can now go to like talking, having like practical conversations, and saying, okay, this is what you should do, this is how you should, this is the right thing to do, and all of that. Yeah.
That's good. It's encouraging to see because on the other flip, we see fathers that are not there.
Yeah.
Fathers that don't see the need to be intentional in guiding and teaching and by example, like you said. So it's very encouraging to see. And I think for guys that don't see the importance, so guys around you that you can see that they're either just not present at home or they don't care about just pouring into their children, instead they're chasing the bag.
Yeah.
What do you say to such a person that's in your circle that you cannot get out of your circle? But how do you influence someone like that?
Okay, so I mean, it looks like dealing with dysfunction again, because many times some of these things are inherited. A lot of us mirrored the sum total of the experiences that we've had, growing up, and so for people like that, it will be to get them to see the light of new possibilities, right? Like I said again, bringing it back to like the initial plan of God is that man mirrors God, right? And God creating man to mirror him, he put him in the garden, and it was to tend the garden, it was to take care, it was to nurture. In fact, Adam was already nurturing something even before Eve came into the picture. So the man nurtures. He takes care of something, takes responsibility for something, and that's like the ideal. The same way God takes, responsibility for his abode and all of that. And so it will be to make them see that the true picture of a man is not what Hollywood has sold as the one who has all the bags, And like the Bible will say, what would it profit a man if he gains the world and loses his soul? And so maybe billboards, movies, music videos have portrayed, what it means to be a man. You have all the ladies, all the girls, you have all the flashy cars, you have, all the bags. Meanwhile, entertainment is make believe. A lot of those things that you see on TV, it's make believe. They rent some of them, they have props. In fact, can you imagine all of the money they spray in music video? Props, and then someone sees that and then they are just inspired negatively that, they must go and scam and, deal in fraud because, they must be, blow and, they see that as the proof of manliness. And, the society is rife with, such people. So it's helping them really see what it means to be a man. Helping them see the possibilities, the advantages, letting them see that that's where they really belong.
What are the advantages?
The advantages. I think...
so in you not following just the average man's path, what have you seen to be the fruit of that? The benefits?
So the advantages from my experience and my understanding, I'll say, one, you have peace of mind. You have peace of mind, and then there's a fulfillment that comes with this. There's a fulfillment that comes with it. And then I think another important part of that is that you take pressure off yourself. Right. You're living on your own terms. I mean, yours and God. you know. And so the pressure of trying to please people is like out of the equation for you. And I mean, a lot of the things we see in this life are funded by pressure. In fact, a lot of the vices are funded by pressure, societal pressure, peer pressure, you know. So yeah, I think peace of mind, fulfillment, and no pressure. And so that way, when there's no pressure, you're able to move at your pace. You're able to move where you want to move. You're able to move how you think you should move, based on the information that maybe you have from God or what you think is best for you. So when the pressure is out of the equation, like a lot of things just realign for you, So that's what I think.
Awesome. And to backtrack, so we've talked about fatherhood.
Yeah.
You're married. How is married life?
I mean, it's been beautiful.
Yeah.
It's been beautiful. It's interesting. Like one of my old mentors, has this thing on his on the wall, a plaque that says that marriage is the only institution where they present you a certificate, before you go in, And so it's beautiful, it's interesting, and it comes with a lot of lessons. A lot of lessons, like you're learning human relationship, you're learning management, you're just learning. It's like practical for a lot of the things that the things you call your values. One, it tests the things that you call values. If you're a Christian, the things that you call your convictions, the things you have read, that you have told people, it's time for you to practicalize it. So yeah, come and do it now. So show workings, exactly. So that's what it really is, That's what it really is. But it's been beautiful so far. I mean, thanks to my beautiful wife. God bless her where she is. Shout out to her, So it's been an interesting experience, for me.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And how was it, I guess, navigating the world of dating, pre-marriage, and eventually meeting Joycelyn? How did you know, this is someone I want to do life with?
Okay. Yeah. So the kind of person that I used to be, right? I mean, I'd mentioned earlier that not a lot of men learn emotional intelligence on the journey, right? So I used to be someone that was I think I was kind of choleric. So when it comes to emotions, it wasn't something that it wasn't my strong suit, and it wasn't something that I really liked to deal in. I didn't like to see.
Do you think that's an upbringing thing?
I think so, because again, I think some of my forefathers were, were like that. So I didn't really like to see people crying around me. I didn't really like the idea of crying. I didn't like the idea of people being weak and vulnerable. I just felt like, what's going on? Come on, man. Let's just, that's how it was. And I won't really, and I won't really have the right emotional response. I would just avoid stuff, because I didn't have the right emotional response to it. So that was how I used to be. And so because of that, I mean, now coupled with being my own person and not really feeling any pressure to, pander to anybody's opinions, you can imagine how I'll just go and do my own stuff. I did not, So there's this popular thing where they say if you want to get maybe a man to do something, you send a woman to them, and me, I don't budge those things. It got to a point, those kind of things do not work. I mean, maybe if you want to get someone to do something, you might say send a lady, and a lot of Nigerian men, maybe because of the person's face and the beauty, and then maybe they just want to talk or flirt, and then they are receptive. I wouldn't have even budged, that time. That's how I was. I just had my eyes on,
an anomaly.
Just how I want to do my stuff, And so for me, I think that also affected my approach. I was someone who had a goal. I think at one point I said, relationships, I'm not doing. I'm not seeing anything. And so even where they were green lights, I did not even see them. It was while I was looking back, and I was like, this was a green light too. This was a green light. But at that point in time, I just locked everything down. Anything emotional, I just shut it out, and I just focused on career, focused on God, focused on and all of that. And so that was how it began for me. And then I was in a long-term long distance relationship. Pardon me. When I moved to to Abuja, and then I feel like because of the distance and some differences, and as we grew also too, we also like grew apart because we in that period of time we had like different things that we now wanted to aspire to, things that we new things that we believed in, and we couldn't like reconcile.
Them.
And so I met my wife in church, but not like in the service. And I like to share it this way.
Go to church, guys.
I like to share this way. So it's not every time that you would have like a dream, a vision, or something, spectacular, And so for me, what happened was, I think I was scheduled to do something. I think we had like a youth Sunday and I was supposed to preach in church that day. And then, at the beginning of the service, I'd gone to my pastor's office and I saw my pastor's wife. And she said, "Oh, Tijesu, I had a dream. I saw you. You were going through my wardrobe and I don't know what you were looking for, but you were searching through it. And I found that very awkward, And myself, I was thinking, why would I be searching through your wardrobe?" So she said, "Let me pray for you." So I just went on my knees and she said, "Whatever it is that you're looking for, that seems to be my possession, whatever it is, She just prayed for me and that would go. And then maybe months later, So she would usually put up people's pictures on their birthday and celebrate them. And so there was this day I was just idle, sitting at home with my friend, and then I was just going through our WhatsApp status. And then I saw a picture of one beautiful lady. I said, who is this person? And Reverend Binta, that's her name, on Reverend Binta's status. And then, I was just having banter with my fellow guys. I now found out that this person was a member of, my fellowship. And I'm like, how come this person, and I was the youth president at that time. So I'm like, how come this person is like part of my fellowship and I don't know the person? Yeah. And then, just bantering my guy. I said, you know what, I'll just, I'll chat this person up. And it was also my custom as a leader of young people in my church. Then whoever is celebrating, I'll just, say, happy birthday to you, God bless you, and all of that. And so I just did the same thing to her. Hi, how are you doing? This. And then before you know what, we were chatting for like about an hour. And, my, all the jokes that I dropped, she was getting it, there was just this, synergy. And, I mean, we'll go on to be friends for like a year, well, close to 2 years, and after that. But I mean, we had like a lot of things in common, the things that we desired. I could see like the love for God, which was like very paramount for me. I could see the kind of things that she liked, and I could just see that she was a good person. And also from the angle of a leader, right? She was someone who will always be around for meetings. She became someone I could count on, right? I could trust. And I feel like one of the love languages I have, that I used to display is, all my friends will, if there's one guy that will send you like a YouTube video of, something that will help you, I'm that one that will send. I'll forward you like 9, 10, 15. If there's a meeting, I feel like I think you should be here, will help you, And so I will usually invite her, I'm going for this. I think you should be there. And then she will just, come along. I mean, and like that, I could just see that this person is really, good. And then some things happened that made me just see that this person really has my genuine, interest at heart. I mean, apparently, if she tells her own story, she'll say that there was one of the meetings that we went to where God had revealed to her. But at that time, I was in a relationship, so she was confused. Because I remember seeing her, like, what's wrong with this person? Why is this person, apparently she was in her own world and she was battling with what she just, what she just saw. And, so, I mean, to cut the long story short, when I came to that awareness that this person really, this is a child of God, we're friends, we have great synergy, we're aligning on a lot of things, and this person really, has like good intentions towards me and cares for me. So what else am I looking for, So I just took a bold step of faith. I mean, that's, again, was like everything that I saw. I didn't have any dream or anything like that. I just thought, okay, we have been friends. I mean, I have a desire for God. I mean, if God calls me to ministry, this person looks like they are aligned and all of that. And so there was a morning after we had, begun to court, and I just had like a flash. And that's what like the Spirit of God does. And I remember that dream that my pastor's wife told me. And because I saw her on her WhatsApp status, and it was like a symbol of me going through a wardrobe to look for something. And in that moment, I mean, I wasn't thinking about it. It just flashed. I was busy doing something. It was very random, and that was for me to know that it was God just saying you're on the right track. It just popped him out. I was like,
Gosh, I
oh
love
my
God.
God, oh, this
Yeah.
is this thing. Oh, I see.
Confirmation
And that
for
was
you.
like an assurance that what,
Yeah.
you're on the right track.
I
And
love that.
we've been on that track, and we're still on the
I
track
love
even
it,
today.
and you're doing beautifully.
Yes,
You're
thank you.
such an example to me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's peaceful to see. And I just want to hone in on what you said about friendship. Like, I know guys often go with logic more than logic and sights, like visuals. So you saw that she was beautiful. I mean,
Yes.
you observed that, you appreciated that. Compared to women, and I think we're very, as much as we can be visual, we're very emotional in the sense that, oh my gosh, butterflies, or I like this person. But I like that you chose friendship, which I think is rare for some guys. Guys don't like being friend zoned. You chose friendship, and you allowed yourselves to get to know each other, and you saw the synergy, like you said, the common interests, the common values. There was alignment.
Yes.
So I appreciate that, and I value that, and I don't think many men place enough value on it. That's my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But men don't like being friends.
So I think because of where I was, I was a leader, and from
different.
Yes. So as a leader, whenever people come into back then, whenever people come into the fellowship, I try to ensure that. Because if anything happens, I'll be the first person. I'm accountable, so to speak, for members of like the fellowship. And so when anyone comes in, I try to make them, just feel comfortable. And honestly, even that gesture had been misinterpreted a couple of times by people, of the opposite sex. And, anyone who is a pastor, maybe a young pastor, will usually get a lot of that, it took me time to know that, okay, you know what, I should not check up on people maybe very late into the night. Maybe after maybe after like a meeting, and you're calling people, maybe at 9 p.m. have you gotten home, and then they're taking it to mean that, maybe, there's interest, and, those kind of things would happen. While myself and my now wife, while we were friends, then I'd even tried to set her up with people, with other people, to say, I think this person is a good.
Not knowing that's your babe.
This person is a good, it's a good lady. I think you guys would, Meanwhile, some other people were looking at me and saying, I'm seeing something, but I was not seeing anything, until I just suddenly, it was almost like a scale, fell off my eyes. Like, open your eyes, look at, who you have here. This is something to pay attention to. And then that's when I now began to pay attention. I think God probably helped me, just open my eyes and make me more aware.
Awesome. So beautiful. Okay. Just in rounding up, thank you for your time, and honestly for unmasking with me and just sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Your journey, the ins and outs of it, and I trust that anyone that is wanting to be better, wanting to be a solid person, a solid man, would listen and just take away some wisdom, because life can be lived well. You don't have to just go with the flow of what the average man is doing. So I just love for you to share a few words to someone, let's say in their 20s or even younger, that wants to live life well. Just anything, any advice for the man?
Okay. So there are a few things that I've shared and in this like a time of conversation that is not the norm. And I would encourage, anyone listening, any young guy to, just maybe rewind or listen again from the top and see if you can pick them. And I think one of the first things is the fact that the essence of life as a man is to mirror God, right? Is to mirror God. God is king. God has dominion. God rules over all. And God loves us as He is His children. And so when you look at it also too, it means that God wants you to have dominion. So in whatever field that you're in, God wants you to succeed. God wants you to rule, and then God also wants you to love. So it's like the mixture of the positive and negative, terminals. We see God as king, we see God as, powerful, and yet we see Him loving. It's like there's a soft side, there's a conquering side, right? And bringing both together, that's God for you. And so even as a young person too, you should dominate in your career. Yes, you should go all out, to secure the bag, but you also don't do that at the expense of, being a loving man, being a kind man, being a man who other people can look up to. You don't step on people's necks to rise to the top. You are kind, you are loving. Another thing that I think I mentioned also is not yielding to peer pressure. You don't have to do what people are doing. You must be comfortable in your own skin, comfortable to stand. I mean, and that's something that I embraced. Comfortable to say, you know what, I'm just going to stand alone. The remaining 7 of you can go this way and walk like this. And I tell you, it's just a matter of time. You'll find your voice, you'll find your feet, and people will be drawn to you. I always tell people this, that boldness is attractive. Confidence is very attractive. So if you're a young guy, I think you should pay attention. When you are by yourself, think about it in your clique. Who determines what everybody does? Pay attention. Who is the one that determines where everybody goes? There's someone who will always say, let's go to the mall, and then everybody gets into the car. There's someone who will say, let's go and race, and everybody gets into the car. Then you can just become a casualty of stuff like that. So ask yourself, you too can become an influencer. And I don't mean social media influencer, and I'm talking that in your day-to-day life. And you can be a positive influence, and it starts from being your own man, right? Note that people can call you stupid, they might call you foolish, they might say what's wrong, they might make fun of you, but don't seek to get your validation. That's also something that I didn't mention from them. Don't get your validation. Don't try to impress them. Just be your own man. Another thing that I think I mentioned also too is the importance of the right words, right? I see guys meet themselves and they call themselves, "Oh, this guy is a mad guy. This guy don't colo," and they are greeting themselves. I don't joke with words like that, right? And I think you should not too. You should use words that build up, words that are good, right? It doesn't make you a snowflake. It doesn't make you weak. It just makes you a principled man, right? So having good words, because again, the Bible says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those that love it, they will eat its fruit. So I think it's important. And maybe, because I have like a lot of things, but I'll just end with this one. I think that there's a lot of physics that says that every body continues in a constant state of motion. I think it's a lot of, maybe, I don't know if it's inertia, until something just breaks it. So I need you to know that cycles will continue if you don't break them. Right? Cycles will continue if you don't break them. So it's important as a young person to think, what negative cycles do you think you might be unconsciously or unintentionally continuing, and then take intentional steps to break those cycles, right? So I'll just stop there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
King
much.
Man Tijesu. Thank you for unmasking with me.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
I'm so happy to be here.
So see you guys on the next pod.
Yeah.